Mother Jones was founded in a kind of dingy office above a McDonald's on Market Street by basically a group of people who had come out of all the political and social turmoil of the 60s and 70s.
They were responding in part to Watergate and the need for more investigative journalism, but also specifically for the need to investigate corporations and their role in society.
If you haven't been following Mother Jones's history over the last 35 or so years, you might think it's still a print magazine that has some other stuff around it. And that's actually not true anymore.
New media came around. We were one of the first magazines to have a website and to really take advantage of technology and new media in that way. And now we're pretty much all over anything that new media allows us to do. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we experiment all the time, but it's always in the service of the same mission.
If people have a misperception of Mother Jones, and I think that that's really waned in recent years, it's that it is more of a political operation than a journalistic enterprise. We are a journalistic shop. What we do is report the truth, no matter who we investigate or what we investigate.
Mother Jones's role is to be a source of original investigative reporting on politics, culture, and the environment and human rights.
Really what human rights boils down to is that all of us recognize that our fellow humans have certain rights that should not be trampled on. In a way, you could really say all of our stories are in some way human rights stories because we do concern ourselves with abuses of power, and those are almost always about keeping you from exercising your rights in some way.
There's an enormous gap in what Americans understand about human rights issues, both here at home and internationally.
Mac McClelland is really the perfect example of what we're trying to do with the Human Rights Beat.
How are you coming in and out? Just through the side?
To the side.
She's a terrific reporter. She has a voice that really engages people. You don't hear this kind of disembodied, what in the business we call the voice of God, telling you about a problem. You get to meet a person who engages with actual human beings and tells you their stories in a way that you can really relate.
I'm a big baby and I have a lot of feelings, and so sometimes my writing about this kind of stuff gets a little bit emotional, but I think that can be helpful for people to, really understand a place and understand what it's like to be there.
Mac McClelland's reporting from the Gulf was really an interesting case in point. She was running all over the Gulf Coast at the time that the oil was making landfall, trying to get to the beaches to see if oil was washing up on shore, which BP was insisting at the time wasn't happening. And wherever she went, she would encounter sheriffs, she would encounter BP, security. As she was doing this and reporting on it live on Twitter, her following on Twitter was growing by the thousands. That's something we could never have done with just a print magazine.
I think one of the amazing things about Mac is the devoted following she's been able to assemble in just a few short months, essentially, particularly amongst media reporters and people really interested in how stories are told using social media, things like Twitter, on up to large magazine stories. It's been a real success for us.
The Anita Fund is named in honor of Anita Roddick. Anita was a friend of Mother Jones. She served on our board for many years. And she had this rock-solid belief that independent journalism, investigative journalism, was a key lever to exposing human rights violations around the world, wherever they might be. And she had a deep, deep passion, both for journalism and for the causes of the oppressed.
The Anita Fund allows us to go after human rights reporting in a really big way. It's allowed us to experiment with technology and ways of getting the stories out to a much wider audience than we otherwise might. It really lets us do this topic justice in a way that's never been possible before. Anita had an irreverent spirit.
Would you still be against animal testing if it was a product for animals?
She had no patience for boring and earnest. And Mother Jones's human rights reporting is not boring and earnest, but it grabs you right by the gut and gets you interested. And I think she would have been really excited by that.
The Roddick family, through their foundation, made a wonderfully generous lead gift to get this project, the Anita Fund, up and running. Here's what Mother Jones needs to continue to do our reporting on human rights. We need you. We need your support so that we can really tell the story of human rights around the world.
Anita, was never one to sort of sit on her laurels, so I think her reaction would be, "You're doing great, go do some more."
She'd be saying, do more of it, keep going, kick some ass.